What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Like always, like and subscribe, leave a comment down below, hit the notification bell. All right, today we're going over another book, our first 11 out of 10 of the month. I don't remember if I had an 11 out of 10 in March. I think I did. But we have Dean Koontz, The Door to December. This book rocked, man. It was good. Rocked, really. This book was good. A little history about the book. As you can see, my copy here, the book was published in, well, hang on, 1985. This version that I'm holding came out in the 90s, I believe. My mom probably had this copy in the 90s. I picked it up at 11 or 12 and tried to read it for the first time then. Didn't make it. Even though I've read a couple of Dean Koontz by then, I just didn't make it through this one. I tried to read it again in my early 20s, and again, I DNF'd it. But now, I'm back into reading. I was digging through, this book I wasn't even thinking about it, but I was digging through my book box in our storage, and I was like, you know what? I want to read it and see what's up. And I read it, and I loved it. It was great. The book was super, it blew me out of the water. It was just, Dean Koontz was on his maximum effort in this one, and he did a great job. So basically what you got is the story of a mother who's searching for her missing child in the beginning. Right away, she finds the missing child. The child was abducted by the father 6 years prior, and basically they find his dead body, him and a couple other dudes, and they're basically beaten to death. But it would have had been by the force of like 1,000 people. Like thousands of trucks landed on their bodies. They were beaten to death. And then hang on, let me pause it real quick. Okay, sorry about that. I had to pause it real quick. Anyways, so they find the father and two other bodies in this basically house. They come across this basically a sensory deprivation tank and in an electric chair. They were doing these horrible experiments. They find the father's notes, and all these experiments were being done on the little girl. So she's like 9 when the mother finds her. Well, they find her, walking down the street naked in a daze. She's she's basically in a trance. She's tripped out. So then you have your detective, who's on the case. You're following him around as he uncovers all this stuff dealing with, out of body experiences, the occult, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. All while throughout the book, you're starting to kind of put the pieces together, and all these other dudes that were involved in this, in tormenting this girl, they're all starting to die these mysterious deaths, and basically beaten to death, or they're picked up by invisible forces and crushed. So all this stuff's going on throughout the book. And Dean Koontz just does a masterful job, as you're going through the book. He just does a great job getting your backstories of the mother and the detective, Dan Haldane, and the mom is Laura. And, she's trying to nurture her daughter that she just rescued. She's a psychiatrist, so she's trying to get through, doing some like hypnosis type of stuff, trying to find out what's wrong with the kid, what happened to her, what exactly when she went through. And they don't realize that it's some, basically paranormal type of stuff until they start experiencing it themselves. And then you also insert another one of your kind of main characters. He doesn't get too much going on, but he plays an integral role as the book goes on. He's basically a bodyguard from a private institution, so he's there along the way too. And yeah, no, it's a great book. It's not like horrible, violent. It's just like, if you could deal with some of the basically when the stuff you find out that they were doing to the little girl Melanie, it's tough. I think probably as a kid, that's why I probably DNF'd it. I couldn't handle it. It's pretty intense, but the rest of the book is just like good, decent horror. You know what I mean? It's I wouldn't even call it horror. It's more just like a thriller with some horror aspects, like the gruesome deaths, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was an 11 out of 10 though. I don't want to say too much more. I could sit here, and I'm actually considering doing the book reviews like I used to do them, with just the spoilers every time, because I like talking about the whole books. But I've already said a lot about it. You follow the detective around as he goes and starts investigating and talking to all these people that knew the girl's father and his associates. So it leads him to all these places. The whole time he's having like an inner turmoil with one of the other, basically, who's kind of like his boss, where he's substituting as a detective at the police place, the police department, and so he has some inner turmoil with that guy. All this stuff. I mean, a lot of crazy stuff happens. The book is actually kind of long for a Dean Koontz at 510 pages, though. Usually he wraps his stuff up a lot quicker, but everything gets set up for about 450 pages, and then you come to the final climax of the book, and it's just really good. Like, you can't stop once it gets going. You have a heart. You want to know the whole book. You kind of have an idea what this invisible force is that's killing all these people. But it's just great when Dean Koontz finally has, first he has the detective start figuring out, and then that leads you basically to now I mean, if you know Dean Koontz's writing, you can predict it pretty easily, but it doesn't take away from when it finally comes to fruition in the book. It doesn't deter from that at all. It's still amazing when the way Dean Koontz writes it out and all this stuff, and then when the detective finally makes it to the last two guys that are to be the victims, and they basically lay it all out and explain what's happening. It's really good, man. Like, Dean Koontz is a master of his craft, so he did a phenomenal job with this one. I highly recommend it. If you're any type of a Dean Koontz fan and you haven't picked this one up, you definitely should. Like, I'm so glad I finally took the time. Let's see, when I was 11 or 12, that was what, 20-something, 25, 26 years ago. So I finally picked it up again, read it all the way through. And this would have been a book if I picked up on a Saturday morning. I would have sat through and read the whole thing in a single day because it was that addictive. But coming up next, the poll closed. So what we got coming up next is Star Trek Death in Winter. And since it's a duology with Resistance, I'm going to read them back to back. I've been fiending for some Star Trek anyways because it's been a little bit. So pretty excited to get to both of these for sure. I'm going to get the video ending here real quick because the kids are just not going to let me have a decent one this evening. I've been lucky on the last few, but Star Trek coming up next, guys. Can't wait. You know I'm a big Star Trek fan. That hasn't changed. But I've also, real quick before I end it, I'm discovering I'm a fan of like horror and techno thrillers. That's my jam right now. But I'm going to give David Weber a chance soon. I know a couple of y'all have talked to me about it. But that's the video today, guys. 11 out of 10. My favorite book of the month by far. I've had a lot of favorites this month. So we'll see if any more take over. This book was great. Later.